In spirit of November, I felt like bringing up an album that I'm pretty much going to say has caused a shift in kind of our music. There's been certain albums like that, like The Chronic and um, the Marshall Mathers LP and Ready to Die by Notorious B.I.G. Those type albums, you don't really hear a lot of people mention records past like the year 2005 or 6 or so. I just can't really see that many people bringing them up. Another one is Wu-Tang, but you just don't hear about it, and so that makes you think, well, does all music after 2004 suck? I think the answer is a resounding no. Check anything I've done on this channel. It does not necessarily have to be groundbreaking and or pure classic subject matter in order to become top list. And I feel like if you pay attention too much to critics, they kind of start to shape your ears as opposed to you doing that yourself. So that's kind of what they think. Most people will say Eminem's records kind of weakened over time, and Lil Wayne, same thing. Just all these people that never really get the categories. But Kanye did this, and this was an album that got a lot of flack at first, but has since gone on to really mold a lot of people, such as b.o.b, Drake, and people within that same field like The Weeknd and some of the people similar to him. I'm not saying that this is their only resource, but I thought about it for a little bit, and I realized what record was doing this prior to 2008, and I just can't really. That's a hard one to figure out who was singing. If you don't know what the style is, it's more concerned about being. It just has more emotion to it than standard rap records. People like Nate Dogg and 50 Cent would sing about that they're gonna hurt you, do something that's going to damage you. But Kanye kind of did something different. I just can't think of too many people who really capitalized on this. Yes, it does kind of have like blurry auto-tune type stuff, but also it is a record that is pretty much ready to go. It's not a perfect record, but I do think it deserves attention because it's a pretty, even though it's kind of feeling down in the dumps, there is definitely traces of R&B that can be good for like a get together. Not necessarily like a party or a backyard party, but small get together. This is music just to be comfortable around others, which is just something strange I haven't really mentioned. When I do R&B, I try to do things that are, successful, not just something you're cooped up wherever you are listening to it, but actually in others' company. And this record's kind of on the fence about that, but it is decent, a little bit less than decent. So, can you smoke to this? I think the answer is, I would say songs like Amazing, Paranoid, and Say You Will are some good ones, but you have to pay attention to the fact that Kanye, he's more kind of vulnerable on this record. So, the production, that was kind of the thing that I felt. It does not feel like Usher or that sort of thing. Usually most R&B singers, when they weren't in the club, just did ballads, and this does not necessarily have ballads as much as it does finding singing in places. I don't know. I swear that this, there's been records that have done this, but I can't just go through R&B's entire catalog to see, and that it confuses me, and I don't get confused very often. So that's just it's one thing to think of, but yeah, I do think records like Paranoid and Amazing, these are some good ones. See You in My Nightmare, like these are some ones I think you'll like. Love Lockdown. But the Unheard Songs, there's 11 songs on this release, and obviously there's a couple times on here where Kanye stops singing about 2 or 3 minutes in, even though the record is longer than that. He does that on Say You Will and Bad News, which, if you minus those songs, it's really about 9 songs left. So I liked 5 songs out of 11 plus one almost song, and my lamp light is getting ready to go out. I'm gonna have to get a new light bulb. That's what you're seeing. The songs are Heartless, Amazing, Love Lockdown, Paranoid, and See You in My Nightmare. All of those really sound, they have like vibrance to them. They have like this resounding effect that doesn't just sound like they're talking into a microphone, but it has like, I want to say, reverb to it, and it has more presence and soundscape than that. So that's just something to pay attention to. Drake was pretty good at that, I think. Really, Love Lockdown and Heartless are probably ones that you've heard. I like Love Lockdown. Amazing's another one I liked. That one just sounded real kind of moody, which is good. Say You Will has a nice beat on there, and it's pretty catchy. That's the Almost song. And See You in My Nightmare has Lil Wayne, and that one's really addictive. So there is another one that I almost had as an almost song, which was Streetlights, but the other ones had off-kilter production that really didn't sound fitting for R&B, but I think for what it did, it's still worth recognition. So the score, because I like 5 out of 11 plus the Almost song, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. And I know that, considering that there's half the album that I didn't like, but really the thing about it is that you have to pay attention to it just because it did do something. So these are good songs, but I don't know. I guess I could give it a 6.5. I'm just trying to think of what would be the best area. There's half the album that's not good, but this is still pretty a landmark thing that just kind of surprised me as of recently. So that's kind of the question mark, and I guess I'm just going to give it a 7. So the future, I mean, Kanye's been quiet for a while, so I'm not sure what he's gonna do. And as far as it being social, I'll give it a 6 social, just because there weren't enough hits, and like I said, it's just not that contemporary. So can it be topped? I think yes, even though this is good. So I give this album a 7 and a 6 social. Subscribe for more fun.